A ceasefire between India and Pakistan and a trade deal between the US and China lifts sentiment. The Nifty and the Sensex soar almost 4% to record their best day since 2021. Mid-caps outperform. BSE-listed firms add market capitalization of near 16 lakh crore rupees.
Pharma firms fall after US President Trump says that he will sign an order to cut drug prices. Trump adds that US consumers will only pay the lowest price anywhere in the world.
The United States and China agree to temporarily slash tariffs on each other's products for 90 days. US brings down tariffs on Chinese goods to 30%, while US imports into China will drop to 10%. Hello and welcome to a fresh new edition of Markets Forward, your go-to show where we get you up to speed with regard to today's trading action and we set you up for tomorrow as well. I'm Nigel and with me is Ekta Batra. Hey Ekta, what a super trading session.
Hi Nigel. Yes, absolutely. You know, it was a spectacular session in today's trade. We had the mid-cap index, which was up around 4% We had the Bank Nifty, which surged to over around 1,700 odd points. And we had the Nifty, which was up almost, at least over 900 points, not close to 1,000. But nonetheless, it was a great session for the markets overall. But, well, yes, we've got you covered for the next 20 minutes with all the big news and the key developments on the Wall Street, the top corporate voices and events to track ahead. Let's kick off the day with the market action. Nigel, great day. You've been looking at the internals.
Well, that's right. You know, the bulls, they came out on top today and whatever had to work for them did work in today's trading session. So there was de-escalation on the border. India, Pakistan calling for, some peace out there and a ceasefire. That's what helped actually sentiment. So that's the trigger. But in today's trading session, you had the US and China. They moved forward on a trade deal. They reduced tariffs on each other. And that definitely will help on a global perspective because the fear was that there could be recessionary fears that will be weighing over the market. With this deal moving ahead, well, that seems to have taken a bit of a backseat. The Nifty Bank, that was expected to be the star in trade. Remember, in the last 14 trading sessions, the Nifty Bank pulled back close to around 4.5%. So in today's trade, if the Nifty needed to do well, the Nifty Bank needed to do the heavy lifting. And boy, didn't it do that. I'll tell you what, the next leg of the market, though, rally, will come if the Nifty Bank can go ahead and rally close to under 1.5%, conquer that 56,000 odd mark. That's been a bit of a resistance level. Because of the US and China trade deal that was announced, or the step in the right direction, global facing themes did well. Tech, was up and about in today's trading session. And you had the metal index as well that was bursting away in trade. Finally, your portfolios will be feeling absolutely beautiful today. You had more than 2,000 stocks that were advancing, and you had just around 200 stocks that were declining. Those lines didn't get anywhere close to each other. Started off on the front foot and just drove home the advantage. The bulls feeling good today.
Yes, and a couple of the defense stocks, however, were weak. So Paris Defense, for example, lost out down around 6%. And also a lot of the pharmaceutical stocks were under pressure on what could come out from Trump's executive order. But nonetheless, that's on the markets. Let's also tell you what we have lined up for you on the show. We start with the top movers and shakers of the day with Hormuz. Indian pharma stocks took a sharp hit after US President Donald Trump announced plans to cut prescription drug prices by up to 80%. Meanwhile, metal stocks rallied following the US decision to reduce tariffs on China. We'll bring you more on that and other top stories in just a bit. Last but not least, we delve into the key market events to watch out for in tomorrow's trading session.
Well, let's get to our first segment then of the day. Hormuz joins us on the big wall with all the top stock movers of the day. Hormuz, take it away.
It's a day when you fall short of adjectives, don't you? And it was the kind of day where every single sector, barring, of course, pharma, you pick up when you see that they were in the green. And, of course, second trigger after the border de-escalations was progress on the tariff talks between the US and China. And you saw that impact on the metal names. Look at Hindustan Copper ending 10% higher, and most of the others too seeing gains of anywhere between 7 to to 9% in today's trade. The other positive was for the IT names, and it was led by mid-cap IT with Coforge, Oracle Financial, Persistent Systems, all of them gaining between 7 to 8%, and LTI Mindtree, after its largest ever deal win, were around $450 million, ending 6.5% higher as well. Earnings reactions continued to pour in, and CE Infosystems ending 6% higher, slightly off the highs of the day. Jyoti Laboratories numbers came in during market hours, ending 4.5% lower. KPR Mills was the accident of the day, ending 10% lower after its results. Mind you, the stock had surged significantly in last week. Man Industries was earnings reaction as well, 20% higher on that stock as well. Some of the others that did well in today's trading session were the tourism names, and be it aviation, be it hotels, be it ticket booking platforms, all of them did well today, gains of anywhere between 4 to 8%. And lastly, it was the railway names, the non-tourism ones, of course, be it IRFC, RVNL, Ircon. These have corrected anywhere between 30 to 50% from their top, and today seeing healthy gains of anywhere between 5 to 12%. Back to you guys.
Okay, Ormuz, thanks very much for that. Well, on to our top story. Jammu and Kashmir and other areas along the international border witnessed a relative calm overnight after 4 days of heavy artillery firing. Parikshit joins in with the latest on this. Parikshit.
Well, yes, it was a calm night after many days of firing. There were DGMO talks between India and Pakistan scheduled for noon today that have been postponed to around 5 this evening. The reason being, Pakistan had requested for the talks to be delayed. They had put more issues on the table which are well beyond the purview of the heads of military operations. They wanted to also discuss the Indus Waters Treaty. It is now possible that in the evening, after taking inputs from the political leadership from both sides, the DGMOs would come together. They would probably try and extend the understanding on peace at the border, on stopping firing at the border till the next DGMO talks. And maybe they might have a framework that could be agreed upon where officials from other government departments looking at the Indus Waters Treaty, looking at the political aspects of the ceasefire may also come on the table. But for the moment, the discussion between the DGMOs will be very brief. It will be a short conversation to continue the understanding on peace, and India will make it very clear that if you hit us again with drones or with artillery guns or with fighter jets, our response is going to be harder, bigger, deeper. And we will not tolerate terrorism. In fact, any terrorism will be an act of war. Having said that, there was a high-level press conference addressed by the Defense Ministry, and the issue and the statements there were very clear. We stand on very high alert. Our air carrier systems, our ships in the Arabian Sea are at high alert to ensure any kind of action by Pakistan is successfully deterred and India is able to defend itself. We also heard how all the three Director Generals of military operations, air operations, naval operations spoke about the strength of India's indigenously developed air defense system and how successfully it was able to form a multi-layered shield, and the Pakistani fighter jets, drones could not penetrate this shield as well. We also explained how Chinese missiles were brought down, Turkish drones were brought down by the Indian forces. An important point on the speculation around the Kirana Hills nuclear stockpile in Pakistan. There was speculation that India has hit it, and the Air Force Director General Operations said he had no idea about this, and Kirana Hills is not a location that has been struck by the Indian forces. Operation Sindoor continues. There is going to be no let-up in military deployments at the border.
All right, Parikshit, thanks a lot for joining and giving us all of those updates. Well, let's get in our market guests then. We have Sudeep Bandyopadhyay, Group Chairman at IndiTrade Capital, who joins us, and Nagraj Sethi of HDFC Securities. Hi, gentlemen. Thanks a lot for joining in. Nagraj, you go first. It was a big breakout that we saw today. The bulls got into the thick of the action, and what a spectacular close, right? The final tick of the day was the highest tick of the day. That's telling you the kind of confidence. Where are we headed from here?
Hi, good afternoon, Nigel. Rightly said, it's a huge upside breakout after a choppy moment. That indicates the strength of the market. Recently, we have seen during the conflict, market was not actually showing the sharp weakness, hesitant to decline sharply. And I'm expecting more upside is likely in the near term, around 25, 250 to 300 is going to be the next upside trajectory where I'm expecting Nifty to reach in the short to near period of time.
Okay. Well, Sudeep, afternoon, welcome to the show. what is your sense in terms of follow-on buying for the mid-caps?
Well, good afternoon. I think, confluence of three factors, I would say, today led to this excitement. One is, of course, India-Pakistan kind of a ceasefire. The second was, of course, a big event for global markets, which is the US-China kind of truce for 90 days. And I think it was much better than what the global markets were expecting. So this also definitely excited the FIIs. And we will see a lot of excitement in the global markets, including US market, when the trading opens. And of course, as far as Indian markets were concerned, we were definitely in an oversold territory. So as far as tomorrow's prediction is concerned, I think the excitement which US-China trade war pause will create, I think will take the global markets to absolutely positive levels. And that will have a follow-on buying in India tomorrow as well. But having said that, I would be a bit cautious because I think we have moved up too fast today, and a bit of profit booking somewhere during the course of tomorrow's trading may come.
Okay, all right. Got that, gentlemen. Well, let's move on then, and let's focus on a CNBC-TV18 news break that was confirmed. The government has opened the Indian airspace for commercial operations. A new notice that was sent to airmen has been released for the opening of all the 32 airports that were directed to shut amid the India-Pakistan conflict. We have Madhya who joins us to help us out with a quick update. Madhya, over to you.
Well, CNBC-TV18 had reported in the morning that new NOTAMs, which is Notice to Airmen, will be issued to withdraw the cancellations of civil flights at 32 airports. We were informed by airport officials, in the morning about the reopening of these airports. And now it is confirmed NOTAMs to reopen 32 airports have been issued, which means all the airports across Jammu and Kashmir, Punjab, Himachal, Rajasthan and Gujarat that were closed due to military action will now open for civil flights. These airports were closed for operations since the 7th of May. The closure was extended till the 15th of May and the airlines cancelled flights to these airports till the 15th of May. But the reopening of airports doesn't mean all flights will resume immediately today. Indigo has announced, in fact, Indigo and Air India both have announced that they will progressively commence operations on the closed routes. Since airlines have to plan in advance, open bookings, inform passengers, some flights may resume later today, but most likely normalcy in flight operations at the affected routes may take some time. But this is clearly an indication of at least normalcy returning. Pakistan Airspace currently has many international flights flying in its airspace. Airlines like Fly Dubai, Fly Nas and Saudia are flying to and from Pakistan. It is important to note that Pakistan continues to close its airspace for Indian airlines. India too has closed its airspace for Pakistani carriers. So the rerouting of international flights by Indian carriers will continue, and complete normalcy may take more time.
Okay, all right, Madhya, thanks a lot for that. Well, let's focus on the other sector that was a little bit under the weather today. Pharma stocks, they were under pressure. You can't keep Donald Trump out of the action. Well, he had something to say on that space, and that's what, made the index itself underperform in today's trading session. Ekta, run us through this news space.
Well, yes, President Donald Trump is planning to sign an executive order on Monday morning, US time. And the prescription and pharmaceutical drugs will be reduced according to him as per this executive order. And it could fall as much as 30 to 80%. It could be immediate in nature. Now, he is saying that they will institute a most favored nations policy, and the US will pay the same price as the nation that pays the lowest price anywhere. Now, the likely impact is that it's probably aimed at branded and innovative drugs, and hence maybe generic drugs could not be directly impacted, but there could be a fallout. Now, remember that in 2020, there was the most favored nations plan, but that was blocked by a court. The larger picture about this is that there could be a possibility of pharma tariffs, which could be coming in the next couple of weeks. Now, JM Financial on the executive order says that it could reshape the US pharmaceutical industry landscape. Generic and specialty players like Sun, Lupin, Cipla, Dr. Reddy's, Zydus, Aurobindo, Biocon are at possible risk. CDMOs may gain. CROs may face a revenue hit because R&D expenditures might change. and the US biotech sector might be under pressure as well. Now, if in case this is limited to just Medicare and Medicaid, then the scope will be limited and will affect only 25% of the US market. Indian generics now have lesser exposure to this space, and hence they could be a little less affected in case that takes place. Reports suggest that it could even be limited to Medicare Part B. If in case that comes true, then it is only 5 to 10% of the total US market, and the impact would then be extremely limited. But we don't know that as of now. We will have to wait and watch in terms of what the executive order holds. In any case, Sudeep, what is your sense in terms of what we could expect from the executive order and your take on pharmaceuticals?
Well, Ekta, it's very difficult to predict what Mr. Donald Trump's executive orders will contain. But I think you have summed up pretty well. As far as pharma is concerned, I've been cautious for some time, and I maintain my cautious stand. One is this executive order, which will come, US morning on Monday. And beyond that, I think he has been talking about pharma tariffs for quite some time, and that's also likely to come in the near future. So I think overall, there is a bit of volatility as far as this entire pharma space is concerned. So I'll wait and watch. If I have to get into pharma, I will look at domestic-focused pharma companies in India. And Mankind Pharma has been a favorite stock for some time. I also like some of the pharma companies who have extensive facilities in US. And I think they are, to an extent, immune from this, tariff tantrums. Piramal Pharma comes to my mind, and that definitely can be looked at from an investment point of view.
Okay, all right. Let's get Nagraj Sethi into the conversation. Nagraj, today the tech index was on fire. How is the index itself looking? And in fact, you had stocks both from the front line as well as in the broader markets that absolutely rocketed. Stocks like Coforge that have already seen a big pullback from the recent peak, but the numbers look good. That was up and about. Stocks like the Infosys and all large cap names moving 6 to 8% in a single trading session. Anyone looks good for more?
Yeah, certainly whole IT index is looking positive after showing a range-bound action, lackluster kind of a moment. IT sector has witnessed a decisive upside breakout in today's session. I think this is the beginning after a larger downtrend. More upside is likely to come. Currently placed at the 200-day EMA around the 42 levels. I'm expecting an upside breakout on this. And on that front, mid-cap and even frontline IT stocks are looking positive. Let's say HCL Tech is looking positive, Coforge is looking positive, and even Infosys and TCS are looking attractive at this point of time based on the chart pattern.
Okay, all right. Well, that's on the entire IT space. But let's move on then. The US and China have reached a deal to temporarily reduce reciprocal tariffs. Following 2 days of high-level negotiations in Geneva, the US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent announced that the two nations have agreed to a 90-day pause on tariffs. The move will bring tariffs down by over 100%. Under the agreement, the United States would reduce the tariff on Chinese imports to 30% from its current 145%, while China would lower its import duty on American goods to 10% from 125%.
We have reached an agreement on a 90-day pause and substantially move down the tariff levels. Both sides on the reciprocal tariffs will move their tariffs down 115%.
Well, on the back of the easing trade tensions between the two largest economies, oil prices rose in trade, while we had coal prices that slumped. Manisha Gupta joins us to tell us what all went on in the commodity space. Manisha, take it away.
Oh, well, absolutely. The trade sentiment clearly seems to be improving after that news comes in and after that press conference that we were all listening to. So with this now, we are looking at US-China agreeing to reduce tariffs, as you mentioned, from 145 and 125%. You have China lowering tariffs on US goods to 10% and US lowering tariffs on Chinese goods to nearly 30% there. We have seen a strong knee-jerk reaction come in for this. One was run up in the equity markets. The second was was the dollar index, which has gained almost 201 and 102 at this point in time. And then apart from that, it's not just about US and China. We've been hearing good news actually for the last 24 hours or so. It also has been about trade agreement between US and UK. We've seen ceasefire not just between India and Pakistan, but there are those conversations finally coming in after 3 years between Russia and Ukraine as well. And that has led to metal prices surging to a multi-week highs. Many of the metal prices, including copper, aluminum, zinc, have gained in anywhere between 1 to 3%. The strongest of surge really coming in for the crude oil prices. We've seen 3% of a jump up here, and we are trading above $65 a barrel for the Brent prices there. And apart from that, markets also do believe that you could be looking at higher demand for metals and crude as well coming in from China, where the trade data hasn't been so strong in the last couple of months there. And then you have a loser on screen as well, and that has been about the precious metal prices. There is no safe haven buying. There's a risk on sentiment right now. So the gold prices have slipped by more than 3%. We've seen silver prices decline by 2% as well. And while we are dealing with all of this news today, an eventful day, by the way, markets are also looking at more events coming in the rest of the week as well. You have inflation numbers from US, retail sales, Powell's speech, housing data, all of that would be coming in this week itself. And then you have a lot of data coming in from China as well. This is going to be about credit data, industrial production, house prices, retail sales from China as well. So loads of data to react to still remaining in this week.
Okay, all right. Thanks a lot for that, Manisha. Well, on that note, we'll thank both our guests as well, Nagraj as well as Sudeep, for joining in, filling us in with your view on the markets and on individual stocks. We take a small break. We come back, get all the top corporate voices that spoke to us during the course of the day. We'll also apprise you on all the events you need to track for tomorrow's session. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. You're tuned into Markets Forward. As promised, let's run you through all the key corporate voices that joined us during the course of the day. First up, Thermax. Their quarter 4 performance came a little lower than what the street was working with. The management attributed this to lower than expected order inflows and significant losses in the bio-CNG business, which amounted to around 150 crores. However, for FY26, the firm expects to see more international business, and the management said that the losses from the bio-CNG projects will not impact earnings from the next quarter. Additionally, the company's chemical business is projected to grow over 20% in the next fiscal.
Meanwhile, shares of Yes Bank gained after Japan's Sumitomo Mitsui Banking Corporation signed a deal to acquire 20% stake in the bank. The management stated that the transaction is subject to approvals from the Reserve Bank of India and the CCI, but they are hopeful that it will be completed in Q2 of this fiscal. And
Mahanagar Gas reported a healthy fourth quarter. In a conversation with CNBC-TV18, the management said that it expects volume growth of around 10% in FY26. It also guided for an EBITDA per SEM in the vicinity of around 9 to around 11 rupees.
Finally, UPL remains cautious amid ongoing market volatility but maintains an optimistically cautious outlook for FY26. In FY26, UPL plans to launch its new products worth over $130 million. Meanwhile, China is not a significant market for the insecticide company, and the company does not anticipate any material impact from the recent China duty.
All right, before we wind down on the show, let's bring you all the key market events you need to track for tomorrow's session. Pharmakshi joins us to help us out with that list. Pharmakshi?
Absolutely, Nigel. Let me first start off with some of the economic cues. We'll be watching out for the inflation data that comes through from India as well as USA. Apart from that, 2 stocks go ex-dividend tomorrow. This list includes Godrej Consumer as well as IFGL Refractories. Keep an eye out on lots of earnings tomorrow. Several big names are set to report their numbers. The list will come up for you on the screen. This list includes Tata Motors, Bharti Airtel, Cipla. Apart from that, Hero MotoCorp, Siemens as well as Honeywell will also be disclosing their numbers. Apart from that, lastly, keep an eye out on an important event. India as well as the EU will begin their 11th round of FTA talks. So that will be another important trigger to watch out for.
All right, Pharmakshi, thanks very much for that. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Markets Forward. Thanks very much for watching.